Welcome to the Carr Brothers with Jeff, Jack, and Jody Carr. They talk about current events, politics, community, and business. Take it away, boys.
Well, welcome to the Carr Brothers Show. It is episode 150. We've reached a milestone of sorts. Thank you for joining us tonight here on CHCO, our Facebook channel, our YouTube channel, and any podcast platform that you feel comfortable with using. Tonight, I'm Jeff, obviously, opening up the show.
I'm Jody.
And with us...
I don't know what to say. That's not normally our order.
It's a little off, but we're trying something new tonight. I mean, back to the future, I guess you could say. When we first started the show, it was strictly Zoom, and we Zoomed into CHCO studio, and CHCO hosted us that way. But tonight, we're joined on Zoom by Jack. Jack is out of town for a couple of days on business, so he's joining us via Zoom. Hello, Jack.
Well, hello there, brothers. Yes, this is great. We're getting our kind of our first Zoom connection since we've had the new studio. So that's exciting. And 150 episodes here over, I guess we're getting close to our 6-year anniversary in March. I guess it'll be 6 years. So what a milestone there, guys.
Oh, incredible. Yeah. And, thanks to Terry and Pat for, taking us to the next level of bringing guests in by Zoom. This is going to be a great test, I guess, and it'll just open us up to bringing a lot more guests into the studio that are out of province, that are out of town, or out of country, and we can bring them right in here to the studio and have a great show all the time. So,
oh, yeah.
So we don't have a guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but we thought we would just do a little roundtable and talk about a variety of things and just have a chat, a little roundtable chat.
I was thinking we could start off by a little recap of the last few weeks, or shows.
Okay.
What we thought of those, and also what's coming up, potentially, and maybe some environment out there around politics, what's happening in the world. I really don't pay attention to too much stuff all the time, so we should talk about that too.
Well, I think when we get our head down and working in the fields that we're working in, we kind of lose a little bit of touch with the world of politics or the world of news, although I do try to catch the news every evening, but it doesn't happen every evening. But there seems to be a lot going on.
I can really see now in my afterlife of politics why it's not always top of mind for people. And when you're going to doors at election time or in between elections, why people sometimes have a disconnect between what government thinks they're doing and what they are doing and what people think you're doing. And those often are different things. But
or completely tuned out.
And you have to repeat. I told you something 3 weeks ago, but it is actually 3 months ago. And some people didn't read it and some people did. And we did read it and blocked it out of our mind because we got other important things on the go now with families and expenses, and everything's worse.
Well,
everything's worse now than it was before, and I hate to be getting onto negative. I really do. But things just are not the same.
You do have a good point with the 24-hour news cycle. That was hard enough. And then now with so many other social media channels, streaming channels, podcasts, and everything else, it's like you said, Jody, you had to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. I think the number was something like 6 or 7 times message had to get it out before someone picked up on what the message was. But that must be higher now compared to even 5 years ago to get action. So,
there's so
as you mentioned, sometimes there's a negative news story. Well, if it's just a one day, the government seemed to just move right on into the next one, and it's old news by the next day. So
yes, exactly. And
didn't we have great time, guys, doing the auction at the United Church in Fredericton?
Oh yes,
holy jumping, yeah!
Right.
We were there for 3 hours or so doing that guest auctioned over 14 items, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of people there coming and going. A lot of good buys. People got some really good buys on some antique pieces, but it was a lot of fun just to entertain, hey?
Right, and to remind our viewers, we were at the United Church in Fredericton, the Wilmot United Church. They asked Jack Carr and the Carr brothers to guest auctioneer. And yeah, people seemed to really enjoy it. it was 3 hours, which is a long time. But the great thing about three of us doing it together, we could pass it off a little bit and have each other to tell stories and have fun. And it went to the Wilmot United Church
outreach programming, general funds or whatever, but they'll put it to good use. But I mean, I think we probably would consider doing more of those things if people asked, and not every weekend, of course, but it's for good causes. I remember we used to do when the hospice gala or the hospice fundraiser was at the Ormukta Legion for a couple of years. We did that auction for a couple times,
and that was fun.
Just fun.
We all have different styles, but we kind of complement. Jack, what were you going to say?
Well, just going to say that I couldn't have done it. I don't think anyone could do it individually. Professionals can rattle that off for 600 items and 300 items, but us as guest auctioneers for charity, to do 100, never been involved with 100 before, and with the three of us, I was getting tired in the last half hour, and that's three of us doing
I was tired after the first three.
Well, people got we got a lot of feedback where they thought it was funny, but also it flowed good too. So it's entertaining, but high energy, and flows nice too. Because when you're rattling off 100, and we were done in the 3 hours that we estimated that it would take, so that's good.
It was under time and on budget.
On budget, yes. And we got to meet one of our old media friends, and I guess our stakeholder. I guess when you're in politics, then one of our partners is with the media, so we got to meet Terry Sege, and that was great to see Terry.
Terry and his family were there.
Yeah, they were really happy to see us. So that was fun. And Terry Sege confirmed he'll come on our show, and we'll have him back on to give us an update of some of the things he's up to and what he feels and sees and hears and thinks, which is everyone likes to find out. What about that New England pizza company from Main Street, Fredericton? I mean, they were guests on our show. Chris was a guest on our show a few weeks ago, and he continues to just keep it out there, I guess, in social media. And it's taken on fundraisers, raised $40,000 for the Legion.
I know, for the Poppy Fund,
for a fundraiser. Yeah.
So he's still carrying on with the same style they started with, and they might have lightened up a little bit on some of it, but they're still out there posting regularly, keeping their views up and whatnot. And he obviously gets the mixed reviews from people, and
he seems to address them quite well when he gets little complaints.
He doesn't fizz them too much, but I think more and more people as they go on are realizing that what's real and what isn't. But he's having fun with it, apparently.
Yeah, and I think I like to think I noticed that maybe not as much AI generated stuff, but I don't know for sure. But certainly helping Jim.
Jim Gilbert.
Jim Gilbert, yes,
right.
The huggable car dealer. Where's my mind? I can't remember names the same way as I used to. And like Mom says, why do I have to remember everything? I just remember the things I need to remember. Except my problem is when you need to remember them, sometimes you don't have it at the tip of your tongue. But anyways, I don't think anybody else out there thinks that same thing.
No. But he has used his platform, like you say, to help people that have been done wrong lately. You've noticed with the Poppy Fund, with the stolen side-by-sides, stolen vehicles,
graffiti of the big potato.
Like he's been using that reach in a very positive way.
So much so that yesterday he needed to post a bit of boundary setting to tell people that he can't take on every fundraiser or every need out there.
I know.
And for the people not to complain and show up and be upset that no, they don't have to take on every cause, and he can't and he won't. But
he plainly said he won't.
But
like, you can't.
No.
It's like, now that we've done a celebrity volunteer auction, I mean, we can't go to one every day.
No,
either, but we will entertain any ask, and if we can fit it in.
For sure, anything like that to help out if we're available and can do it. If it's an auctioneer or emceeing at events, we've all done that some. Of course, I started emceeing. I guess one of my first gigs, Jeff, after high school was emceeing your wedding. That was one of my
That's
first
right.
gigs I did
We
in
should get a clip.
1994.
Speaking of that, I have a clip that I want to show.
We'd have to dig in the archives a long way to find
We
clip
have
of
it
that
at the tip
place.
of our fingers, I think, don't we, Jack?
1994,
It's
and
just
Jack
in one of those
was-
boxes.
Jack was our MC because we knew he would do such a great job. And I think you were still in college then, right? You were still in
Yes,
college at
yes,
the time, and you were home that summer.
Yeah.
Just out there getting your gigs gone there, eh, Jack? And
Yeah, Jody
Yeah,
was
good-
Jody
good.
was standing up in my wedding, and some other friends, Danny and Robbie and Jerry, and
Sure.
we needed a
They had to
important
find-
place for Jack, and emceeing, even at a very young age, is your thing, and it was a lot of
Well,
fun.
And I remember, and I still have that book. As you know, we very rarely throw anything out. But I went to the library. Back then, you had to buy books at the library or at a bookstore. And I bought How to MC a Wedding.
No kidding.
And I still have that book there in one of my bins. But I read that, researched, came up with different ideas, and I've emceed probably, not that I'm looking for any gigs emceeing weddings, but I've probably emceed about 10 or 11 of them.
wow.
And had some highlights over the years. But yes, Jeff, yours was the big break on doing that. And but when I was at the radio station, people are surprised because they're young, especially the younger audience. They don't recall that they weren't even born if I was on the radio back in 1995 to 2004. Did that for 9 years. And then being on the radio station, I'd get asked a lot of times to MC different events. So enjoyed that.
I think you might have.
So, yeah.
I think you might MC Terry and Tammy's too. Terry, our director here, our production
Yes.
helper here in the studio.
Yeah.
You did his as well. So
Yes, I did.
you've been around the wedding scene a little bit, little wedding crasher. But it's fun.
And you do, you've hosted concerts, Jack, and hosted
Variety shows.
Variety shows,
and fundraisers, and what's your deal on that? What do you get from that? Why do you do those?
Oh, well, it's the same thing. The same I get when we do our TV show. Similar to what Rose Arsenault, who was on our show last episode 149, is just the rush, the adrenaline, especially live and being on stage. It's and it's even amplified when it's for a charity or for a good cause, and that adds to it. But the live rush, I guess, or adrenaline, of making people laugh, making their evening a little bit brighter, just maybe giving them a chance to pause and just get away from all the hustle and bustle and all the challenges they may have on their minds. But during that 2 hours of an event that I MC, then that's what I get, very fulfilling. And similar to, a musician, they're up on stage and they just get an adrenaline rush that they hardly can even explain what it is. So it's that similar feeling. And just on the top of the world, I feel like after an event, same when we did the live auctioning for the Wilmot United Church, and it's just, and then to get people, saying that it really made their morning. I think there's nothing better than that. It costs very little to do that and help people out and give them an encouragement.
Yeah, one event that I remember you organized in terms of coordinating the showmanship of the event was the PC Party New Brunswick annual meeting.
Yes.
And you'd go to those meetings and they were so boring, and microphone wouldn't work, the speaker this or that, and it would just be kind of like lackluster. And somehow Jack offered or was asked by Bernard Lord to coordinate the sound and the show of an annual meeting. It was the best one I'd ever attended, the best one at that time, and the best one since.
Because then I was working at the government member's office for you, Jode.
Oh, and in part-time volunteering for the party.
Partly, yes. Thank you. Yes, Jode. I was volunteering for the party. You're right. Exactly.
And in your
it was all volunteer work.
Yes.
In my spare time, we would help put this AGM on, and but that was the year. Was it 2003? I think it was 2003 or 2002. It was leading up to something, and we had all hands on deck because I forget all the whole, I have to ask Jacques Porcher or somebody, but who would remember, but there was someone that was going to challenge, or there was a movement or whatever, and we gave all hands on deck, and we put on an outstanding, I was on the committee, put on an outstanding AGM the night before we even did, when he introduced all the MLAs, they had glasses and Blues Brothers music and all the
lights.
the noisemakers and things. And
That's
the lights.
back in the day when you used to have the big production and the celebration on the Friday evening, and people were meeting and greeting, and then the business part went on Saturday. But the Friday evening, people wanted to go to. There was reception rooms and things like that, and they do it at a smaller scale now. But I just think the people just aren't around that go to those things anymore either.
The fees,
but they're not as party like.
That too. But the fees were pretty well next to nothing because Bernard Lord, especially in the party, really wanted to make it accessible and have people attend, and had fundraising between the events and from businesses to help contribute towards the costs. And so individuals and ordinary members could attend basically for free. And now the
even
fees,
if the party took a loss type of thing on an AGM, they wanted to make sure people could
but we usually didn't take a loss because there was enough
people.
Enough people. You'd have like 500, 750, close to 1,000 people sometimes, or more. But then now the fees are up so high and the numbers are so low. It's a I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, it's a. Yeah,
I think.
Different.
The registration fees this year were around $100, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. No one's going to attend, and no one did.
Well, 150, but that's.
Well, that's what we would do, guys, in all of our events at the riding level, and you just rate it up a level for the provincial level. But you have fundraisers and fund with the D raisers. The AGM really typically should be a fundraiser where people come, you break even, not there to make money. And as you said, Joe, to be accessible, get people, a rallying call type of thing. I suppose this year we're in a little bit of a rebuild. We're in a rebuilding stage because we got the leadership convention. But those were the differences. You got to know, okay, is this a fundraiser with a D or a fundraiser or not to make money? And there's a difference between how you have both of those events. And the AGM was always a fundraiser where it wasn't there to make money, but to pay the bills, break even, and then get people all engaged and charged up and brought together.
Often people would ask me, often people do ask, how did I get involved and how did you get into the party and whatnot? And I volunteered right after high school. I went to a party, an election campaign office, volunteered my time, and then I'd also, with the provincial party, I would volunteer on the AGM committee or as a volunteer on the AGM, so that when I went to the AGM and I didn't really know anyone, I got to get on the registration desk. So when all of the people had to come through registration, I was sitting on one of the desks or at the table or at the room, and I could help. So I had something to keep myself busy. But then I had a way to meet people by knowing them coming through the registration. So I always just volunteered to help out, stack chairs or do this or do that. And that's how you get kind of involved. And so that's what I use the AGMs for, was to just help get involved and be active. But
networking 101 is one of the best ways of volunteering.
Yeah, sure is. Yep.
And where does that leave us now?
Well, many years, I guess, since we're on the party talk.
Oh, yes.
The PC Party of New Brunswick talk many years ago. I mean, I'd only got involved because of you guys at the time, many, many years ago. Wasn't overly involved with your 95 campaign. We were working, obviously, construction company and Liberal government in power. And in those days, the parties really rewarded or not those that supported them or didn't in the construction world, and we felt the brunt of the Frank McKenna regime when we were in construction in the 90s. But Dad always said, don't depend on government for work.
Exactly. Don't hold that over my head.
Do your work.
It was
find work at a place. So we
did.
He
He always said we didn't have government. We didn't make government before. We're not going to make them now.
But even companies that weren't working for government that were private, they picked who they hired in those days too. But I mean, we persevered and got through it. But then when the 99 election came along, a lot more involved, obviously. The whole family was, and just started working at it then, and got on your board of directors, Jody, and became the chairman of that, the president of that, and then get in provincial council, then got involved with provincial AGMs, and so it's just a progression. But you just keep meeting people when you keep going back and doing those things, and Next thing you know, we're all elected and out of it. And just kind of taking a little, you got to let other people have a turn at doing the organizing and the volunteering and stuff too. So that's kind of my progression through it all. But yeah, Jack, that's been your training session or your way through, understanding how to produce and MC and host and what is a show, put on a show. You want people to come back. So
well, it'd be the same as if you're putting on an event or something, Jeff, a baseball tournament or what have you. Or for me, it was if I was emceeing something, a lot of time there might not have been a lot of capacity for the organizers, and they just expected that the MC would be the organizer. So a lot of times I'd show up. You got to show up a little early to be able to pull this off, but show up and ask, I'd help them put the agenda together, and maybe if the sound system needed something, I'd do that and just kind of help them organize and then pull it off. And it felt like it was my event just as much as their event, but it was great capacity building because you got a short period of time to be able to, put out any sort of issues or find some solutions to something.
Nobody's getting paid to do it.
No,
whether
we got
the organizers or the MC. You're just there to help. So
we got to put the show is on. The show must go on.
Show must go on. Well, guys, we've come to the end of our first segment already, and we have to take a quick break here to hear from our public service announcements, our sponsors, our advertisers at CHCO. So we'll be back to you in just a few minutes. And welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Jody. And guess what? We have a special Zoom guest with us today. And who is that?
Hi, guys. I'm Jack. So it's awesome to be joining you. Our very first Zoom with the new studio that we've had for about a year now. For episode 150. So that's great that we're getting some of the kinks worked out there. We can have Zoom now and have guests from all over the world. So we can get back to that list there that we have, that huge waiting list that we want to get some guests on Zoom. So that's pretty cool.
And it's been a good chance to test this out, and so far so good. And then we're not missing. It'd just it'd be different without one of us that's not here, and it is different. And we usually we can pull it together.
Yeah, no doubt.
But
it's just not the same.
So what else is going on out there? I'm still amazed by the people that watch our show, and we thank people that do watch it, and they're waiting in hated breath on what's going to be next. And we've got some great shows coming up. But around that, we've got some provincial guests coming, provincial issues, provincial government issues and whatnot. We saw federally that the budget was passed in the end. There was a bunch of blinking going on and a bunch of gamemanship, but the budget did pass by 2 votes.
Everybody was against it, and nobody was going to vote for it, and nobody could stand it and stomach it, and floor crossings. People left their seat or resigned but didn't resign. And at the end of the day, it did get through by 2 votes.
And I just not surprised.
No. Gosh, no. I don't think anybody wants an election right now.
Especially Pierre Poilievre.
Sheesh. No, I don't think so.
Things are going so good for that party right now.
Doesn't appear like it is, but, would those parties even have their returns back yet from last election to put the money back in their bank? So.
Oh, yeah.
And it does seem like there's a little bit of disarray on the conservative side. The NDPs are just really, there's 7 of them, so they're leaderless, floundering around. The Bloc, they seem pretty steady. I think they all voted against it as a complete party.
You were going to say Bloc, weren't you?
The Bloc. As a Bloc, yes, I was going to say as a Bloc. And Elizabeth May, she changed her tune because they changed some wording, saying that they were going to acknowledge the Paris Climate Agreement commitments. That's all it took for her to switch her mind. It's just that they would have some wording. She didn't get anything, and she never has accomplished anything that I'm aware of, but she still gets elected every time. She goes back in there. So maybe she's a really dandy, ideal constituency MP. It's got to be. But
yeah, I would say that's for sure, because I mean, I've only met her once, and I know I sent you guys the pictures, and I did a selfie with her, and I really enjoyed talking to her. I could see where the people in her riding like her, because she showed interest, she shows energy, interest, and I really enjoyed chatting with her. And it's like, wow, that was a great. I left that conversation saying, wow, I could see why people in the riding vote for her. But yeah, I'm not surprised where they needed enough votes. So what was it? 2 Conservatives voted against it. A couple NDP sat out, and then Elizabeth May flipped her vote to support the budget, which not surprised. We've had about 4 years of this back and forth and drama and down to the wire. And I don't know, I guess a lot of people do get sucked into it, but I didn't think that the government was going to fall this early either.
No.
I can't remember the circumstances when Harper went early over the Christmas holidays back in the 2000s. I don't know, maybe you guys remember, but I don't know if he had the minority from the spring, and then when it came upon Christmas or the fall, they did go in, they went to an election over the holidays, but I can't remember if it was 6 months in or not, like 9 months in or whatever. But nobody, I don't think the electorate would tolerate, as a whole, the majority of the electorate would tolerate somebody triggering an election.
And for the government, the Liberal government, things are so volatile in politics today that there's not a guarantee either with what would shake out, I guess.
No, there's never a guarantee, is there?
No, less and less all the time. And what is going on? What's your perspective of what's going on with Trump here now? Apparently he's still in office.
He's still in office.
But there's a lot of stuff that's going against him here with these Epstein files.
Well, and he just did a big flip, and he's demanding that the Republicans release the whole file.
Oh, that he was blocking it before?
Because, the Democrats were drib-drabbing some of it out, I guess, little bits of it here and there. But now he's saying, the Republicans must have been blocking it, I guess, by his order. But he wants it all out now, so it's hard to say what will come of that. He obviously, people that are paying attention to it, he said that it's all a hoax. Whatever they're leaking out is all a hoax, and it's not true, and they're trying to make him look bad. So
yeah,
pretty serious stuff. The women, you see the women that have made the allegations, you see them in the media and on different channels talking about, like, this isn't, things like this are not a hoax. No. It's very serious, and so probably lots more to come. But is he touchable? I don't know.
Hard to say, but it seems like a lot of cracks going on there. I don't know. We'll see. But in here in New Brunswick, news came out that we're potentially reaching $1 billion deficit. And that's B with a capital B in New Brunswick. That's concerning, considering a lot of people are concerned about the federal budget having such a large deficit and overspending. But is it certain that we'll reach $1 billion? Jack, what are you watching on that? What are you feeling about that?
Well, basically, the update was it was 830 some or 800 and some million deficits, and the finance minister says if there's no corrective action, and we hear that all the time. But back when we were in governments and things, corrective action was taken, but without corrective action, it's on target to hit 1 billion at the end of March, and basically, it is what it is, and life goes on, and no, doesn't seem to be a major outcry, but I know that our future generations and current, actually, because having that debt is what you have to pay extra on interest payments. But clearly from the government that promised no ifs, ands, or buts, and that there wouldn't be any deficits and be balanced budgets. And there's just a small portion of that that's on the tariffs. So if you read some of the stories this week, they have it calculated of what the U.S. tariffs play a part in that. Certainly not $1 billion worth of it. And of course, governments, the Liberal government's done an all right job of positioning as the past government's fault, because they've squeezed out the people and squeezed out the departments for so long that it's time to catch up, is what the finance minister had said. So now whether that relates with backlash at the polls or in popular polling, popularity and things like that, that's yet to be seen. So far, it hasn't hurt the Liberals really, the whole government in opinion polls.
No, actually, her numbers went up a little bit, I think. And Glenn's
yeah.
hours went down, but we are leaderless. I mean, Glenn's interim, but there's no permanent leader yet, so who knows how that'll go. But you're right, Jack. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No deficit. And I did see Rene Legacy, the finance minister, his little clip on the news, and one of the things he said specifically was infrastructure, lacking in spending on infrastructure, even though we had record infrastructure budgets over the 6 years. I mean, the first year it took us a little bit to wrangle things in to get to a balance, but we had record infrastructure spending, like billions.
Yeah, that's one
over
area.
time. And there's only so much you can. There's actually only so much you can spend. There's only so much you can design. There's only so much you can tender, and there's only so much you can accomplish in any one season with regards to infrastructure. Now, can you put more stuff on the books? Well, yes, you can. You can add anything to the list you want as a wish list that government often does, and sometimes those projects never get accomplished. But we'll see. We'll see at the end, like you say, at the end of this fiscal, how things are, and the opinion polls, like you say, Jack. Do people care about deficits? Does it have to become a certain number? Like $1 billion is a lot. And maybe, we'll have the premier on here in a few weeks. We'll be able to talk to her about that and ask her what she thinks, and ask her where they see the gaps and where they have to continue ballooning, or are things ballooning that they didn't expect that would turn into a big number.
A lot of times on the pre-budget tours that the governments would have in the past, the finance ministers, they would say, well, corrective action isn't taken. It's going to be $600 million if we don't do this, this, and this. And then all of a sudden, then that would be part of the consultations. And then a lot of times the debt would be, or the deficit would be very minimal, or if not a surplus. So it's always about choices. Every time that I've ever been, involved or around, either as a staff employee with the government or opposition, or as an elected official, it's always projected. If nothing is done, it's going to go up. It'll be a huge amount. So it all depends on if a government wants to do something or not. And the people, the general population, may not see it as, because there are tons of needs. There's way more needs than what's there for money. But the population may not see it when they do opinion polling about what are the top issues. It's generally not the debt. But the government darn well should be taking it as a top priority and a top 5 priority. And that's what they campaigned on in the Newfoundland, the PC party over there. And I think that was one of the reasons why they got elected. It was one of their top 5 platform items is getting their spending under control.
And they had several years of deficit there too, right, with a 10-year Liberal government. So
what's the current year? What was the budgeted forecast for the deficit when they passed the budget in this spring, I wonder? And are we over that? We must be over that forecasted.
Oh, yeah.
And what I would say about this, if corrective measures aren't, so are they saying that they miscalculated what the projected deficit would be? And weren't those corrective measures, as Jack said, they would have been discussed prior to the budget being introduced, that we're going into a budget with these uncertainties and with these pressures. We already knew tariffs were coming on, and now we have to look at mid-year corrective measures, or were these corrective measures just put on the side burner earlier in the budget process? And anyway, who knows? But tough job, but I guess it's one of those things that people kind of expect, that you're going to look after your budget, and you shouldn't get high praise for passing your budget or for balancing a budget necessarily. It's part of your job. I guess it doesn't happen nearly enough. So when governments do it, they want to kind of brag about their good managers, which Blaine Higgs often did, and people criticize, feeling that some of the social programs, education and health were experiencing problems. But as you said, the infrastructure money that he was spending, you guys were spending huge amounts of dollars that were needed on old, aging infrastructure that wasn't spent on in the past.
No, and I wouldn't even start to pretend to brag about investing in the social programs when we were in government.
Oh, no.
They something had to
pay.
I mean, if you're balancing a budget, something has to give.
And it's priorities, right? And choices.
It takes a long time to change a system and change the way systems are managed. And So I wouldn't brag, although I mean, every government says we've increased the health budget.
Oh yeah, that always
by 3 or 4%. Well, it goes up every year, anyways, regardless. It always goes up.
That's what this current government got in trouble around the Department of Education budget. They
Yeah.
were trying to say it had gone up and
Right.
more teachers, but they were moved and cut, and then
Right.
some shifty there. But that's where the current government did kind of backtrack and
Yeah.
put some more money back in the budget. So that could be where some of the extra deficits coming as the rollback of some of the budget decisions based on pushback.
And also, every time that they sign a tentative agreement that's been, that's been in default or hasn't been signed for a number of years, that you can only budget so much for a wage bill or your wage increases. So that would probably... Some of that stuff would have to factor in, and maybe Susan will be able to, or the Premier will be able to talk about that a little bit more in depth when she comes on. I think they just signed with the doctors, which is a big deal to be able to sign with the doctors and other healthcare fields. Maybe that's added on, but that would be a longer term add on to the deficit as well if it's higher than what they budgeted for.
Especially if there's retroactive that has to go out.
Yeah, there would always be retro, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
But those numbers, those line items get figured in somehow, but maybe they're bigger than what they thought. But we're gonna get it maybe broken down. Premier, when she came on last time, she knew her files pretty good. So I don't think she's I don't think she'd be shy to take some questions.
They might be shy from some the regular media, but they're not shy from coming on the Carr brothers, are they, Jack?
Brothers.
That's right.
That's right, because we saw there after the throne speech. I don't know. We're going to ask her about that, because what the scoop was around that is after the Liberal throne speech, they hunkered down and didn't come out to the rotunda in the legislature to face. They didn't come out and face the media.
Scrums and that.
And so we'll have to ask her about that. That's kind of a first time that had happened, but we'll have to ask why that took place. So
was that a strategy? Whose strategy was it? Or was it just were they just tired?
Were they just
on their feet talking
emotional
all week?
And not thinking? Emotional,
maybe. We'll see.
Kind of from the hip pay.
But normally you're right, Jack. Once you have your throne speech passed, you want to be out in the rotunda talking about the 5-point plan or 3 or whatever you're going to work on in the next year that's in this throne speech, because budget vote is coming in 6 short months away. Capital budget will be here soon. So it was a little strange, and the media were all over that. Like you say, they were not happy that they didn't get to ask the questions in the scrum. And from what a couple of them reported on X, if they weren't asking questions about the throne speech, they weren't coming out to answer any questions at all, which was, but boy, the week after that, they were out in full color, full-fledged. Several ministers available every day.
Just a strange thing where they criticized the previous government, which rightly so. They hunkered down and avoided media and things like that at the end of it. It's just basically something you see of an older, tired government than you would brand new government when you're in avoiding the media. So anyway, we'll ask about that one and about the debt. It was projected when the budget was released last March, it was $550 million, and to have that double in a year, that's quite an off projection of your budgeted $550 million, and you're close now to going to $1 billion. So especially when you campaign on being good fiscal managers.
And it's almost the opposite. So when we were in government, we would forecast what our surplus would be. And then when it came time to publicly report it quarterly, our surplus would be higher than what we forecasted. And people were madder than wet hens. Like, they would get so upset, like they're hoarding money.
Oh, it's completely the opposite.
So now it's the complete opposite. They're going further into deficit than they forecast.
I was one of those that gets
Who's
so
saying
upset.
anything about it? Like, really? Like, us conservatives, people that are fiscally responsible, of course we're saying stuff, but the general public, they just don't seem to care.
No,
and maybe we're just not hearing it. Maybe we're not hearing it, but it's just a complete mirror opposite.
Well, it's like negative versus positive feedback. If there's extra money to be spent and we've left it on the table, We could have spent that. We could have spent that.
Yeah, we could have spent all that money. What are we saving it for?
Human nature not to think about the rainy day. I remember when we first had a rainy day fund back that rainy day fund, we were setting aside $100 million. Bernard Lord had the foresight to say, let's put $100 million over here on a rainy, and called it a rainy day fund. And the Liberals, Sean Graham and them in the opposition, they just criticized that there was this extra money that could have been spent on current programs. And even though we spend more on programs, but criticized it, setting that aside instead of putting it on the debt. Or, I mean, instead of spending it. So what we said was, instead of it automatically going to the debt, let's send it over put it into a little bit of a trust fund.
Yeah.
So, but
legacy fund.
It would just kind of make sense, wouldn't it? But anyway.
Well, we did that too this time. I don't know if that still exists or not. Like
little funds and
that
stuff,
was set up, and I just I don't know if that still exists. Because I wasn't in cabinet for the last number of months, so I don't know if they made any decisions to change that or not. I mean, they never told Backbench anything, anyways. Unless it was something we needed to know.
Well, tell us something else now that you could tell us.
But that was public. Like that was out in the budget docs.
Tell us something else though.
A little goodie.
Now that we're recollecting.
And if you look at the last 25 years, it'd be, I mean, I don't have it all scientific and research, but the last 25 years, I think it can show anecdotally that the Liberals there's a clear difference. Liberals are tax and spend, and the Progressive Conservatives are fiscal managers. And in other governments, Bernard Lord's government, Jody, you guys increased social spending plus balanced the books and lowered taxes.
And employment went up. But what's funny is... not funny, but Brian Mulroney came one time to our cabinet.
Oh, yes.
And he spoke, and when you recollect his government under the federal, and they were very active, but they made decisions. They made things work. He did things that were never reversed, like the HST and free trade. And
even though the other parties promised to reverse them.
Oh, yeah, and they never did because it was fiscally the correct thing to do.
Prudent.
But he said... try to avoid doing too much. But what that relates to is that the people would say, the Progressive Conservatives, they come in, they work real hard to clean up the mess and clean up the deficits and clean up the spending, and then the Liberals, they come back in and they spend it all and bring it back up again. We hear the same thing today. Like, we're concerned that Higgs was a strong fiscal manager. We're going to hand it to the Liberals. They're going to spend it way up. And then when the Conservatives get back in, they work so hard to be like Grinches with no heart.
It's not easy.
And
it's darn well not easy.
There could be a bit of an equilibrium balance there. We tried to do that under the Bernard Lord, especially with the Progressive Conservative mantra, to be fiscally conservative and socially progressive. Just makes so much sense.
But it just goes to show that it doesn't matter who is in it, there's a shelf life. And the shelf life seems to be getting shorter as time goes on. True. Although Blaine we broke the mold and got 6 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Only because of COVID. I mean, we were 80% in the polls for approval ratings in like July, August of 2020, but there was no alternative.
What do you think, Jack?
And that was handled very well though at that time between March that 2020. So it was because of COVID, yes, but it was because the PC government at the time handled it very, very well, one of the best in the country.
We did, yeah.
And by having the all-party committee and having collaboration and things like that, a minority government helps.
But
that beat the mold.
Just to turn back like 4 months before that, we were coming into our budget and in a minority, and before COVID, obviously, and all signals were the other parties were taking us down. Yeah. Like they were voting us out. Kevin Vickers was hungry because it was going to be his only shot at the can. David Kuhn wasn't supporting us. Chris Austin wasn't going to support us.
People were getting grumpy.
We were losing government on that budget vote, or we were going to the polls in the spring, let's say, and then COVID came. And COVID came, and then we had to close the house.
Came and
we were toast.
And none of your government MLAs got to go door to door.
Nobody was even ready. Like I started having meetings in early January, as we always do, in election year, and other members were having some meetings with the riding associations, getting ready. But I don't know. It would have been a crapshoot if we would have got through a vote that spring if there was no COVID, and then you're right, Jack. Just happened that we managed it well. Love them or hate them. Dominic Cardy was at the table, steering. We had a balance of people around, and that COVID committee, all party committee, was just a cat's meow as far as the public was concerned.
I think everyone could see the difference in a minority government and how Blaine Higgs and the government operated for people, and the balance and fiscal and social and negotiate and compromise. Then when we turned into a majority, I was really happy with the performance of the minority government and happy with the direction that
made us work hard.
Higgs was going, and then majority governments can sometimes, corrupt. Absolutely.
Well, you've seen it in Ottawa with Carney, like he's just walking around there yesterday, like the other day, like
he had a 2-seat majority.
People are either going to vote for it or they're going to vote against it. But he said more people are going to vote for it. He was confident.
I think so.
Just had that swagger, and that's the trap you fall in. But now he's got another year, I guess, to govern.
Yeah,
because he put his budget late instead of the spring. It's now. So, well, guys, we're at the end of our second segment. We've gone a little bit overtime here, so we need to take a little bit of a break. Go to the powder room here and hear from some public service announcements from our stakeholders and our people that we appreciate at CHCO that help these programs continue. So we'll be right back with you in a few minutes. Well, welcome back to the Carr Brothers Show, episode 150.
I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
No confetti or fireworks going off in here today, but, we're just so elated and happy that we still get people questioning our show when you're coming on again. We watched it the other night. So, you can check us out right here on CHCO, our Facebook channel. Our YouTube channel is becoming more and more of a hit. All the time. The subscribers are climbing slowly, but they're climbing. And look, if you don't catch us on those, you can put it on a podcast, your favorite podcast platform on the weekend or whenever, and just give us a listen. But
we're on 24/7.
We're on
just like Sirius XM.
As we said earlier, we have Jack on Zoom. First time trying Zoom in our new studio here. We've been in the studio for all year, and it seems to be working great so far. So
if we hear otherwise, I think we should just we should keep going with this Zoom thing.
Yeah,
we should. I think so. I think it'd be great, guys. We'll get some guests like we used to. All our first 125 shows, we did it by Zoom, and then moved over to the other studio in Marysville, and then now into our new studio.
Mm-hmm.
And 150 episodes is our 150th show here in this broadcast, but the majority of our shows are available on YouTube and on the podcast. We're going to try to keep working and getting them all uploaded of from all of the archives. But on Facebook, if you're looking for past shows, don't go there. Facebook really let us down, and a lot of people with live videos, so they deleted all those back in September.
Mm-hmm.
And but a lot of our catalog is on our YouTube channel and on podcasts if you want to go back and watch those.
Yep, just search the Carr Brothers, Jeff, Jack, and Jody.
So we got a couple of shows coming up that will be interesting. We have guests from the Fredericton exhibition.
Mm-hmm. Ray Tretiak, he's the executive director of the New Brunswick exhibition.
Yeah,
yes. That's what they call it now.
Right.
It's not the Frex, but yes.
And how do we tee that up a little bit? What's going on?
Well, they've been kind of in a tug of war with the city over the property. The city wants to build housing on that property. And, the long-standing history of the exhibition that's been there, agricultural shows for decades and decades and generations, it's hard for, those people to let that go.
Yeah, so the city owns the land?
Well, I think we're going to have to get somebody more qualified than us to talk about who owns it or who doesn't, but it appears that the city believes they own it because I think that they voted at a recent council meeting to expropriate if they have to expropriate that property.
That's why I don't understand if they
we're going to get a chance to listen to Ray and find
Just to see
out
what
maybe
the
that
story.
he seems to be very up to date on the agricultural scene. He's been involved with the agricultural scene around New Brunswick for some time, so we're going to get a little bit of a history lesson on that possibly. We don't have enough show space or enough episodes available to bring the mayor on or maybe a city manager to speak to them before Christmas, but maybe in the new year we'll be able to get a chance to talk to them. Hey guys, and we'll extend the invitation out. We've had the mayor on before.
Yes, and Mayor Kate,
long
she
ago.
just had another city update or a state of the city
address.
So
I was there.
We'll be
last Thursday. Yeah, I went last Thursday.
How was it? Was there any horses?
I wouldn't
out front
say
protesting?
no. There was no horses out on the sidewalk protesting. No, but I thought the numbers were down a little bit compared to other state of the city addresses, but probably a couple hundred at least were there. So, I mean, that's not bad. 250, that's not bad. It was put on by the Chamber of Commerce, obviously. But
Did it feel like the city's on the move? Housing?
well, her
construction's up?
speech was great. Just what you expect to hear. But the last line of her speech left myself and a couple others wondering if she is reoffering or not. Unless she didn't want to blur her speech because of the state of the city with anything political, maybe. But what she did say in the last line was that she feels very grateful and she's been very happy to be the mayor of this city for the last number of years. And that's how it ended. So,
when is the next municipal election?
this spring coming up?
So 2026 this
yeah,
spring.
probably May, I suppose, is when they do municipals. So, Jack, what's your thoughts on Ray Tretiak before we get to the city stuff?
Well, since we're right on the topic with Kate Rogers, the mayor, I'd like to send our condolences. Her mom passed away the last couple of days, and Betty, and so we want to send condolences to her and her family for during this time of grieving.
That's right.
Now on to about Ray, having Ray, the exhibition organization, on her show. I think it'll be good to have them on to show, what on their side of things of the value of the MBX and the important role they play. And I mean, I know it's not just the city of Fredericton residents, although because it's within the city of Fredericton boundaries. I guess people outside the boundaries don't really seem to have a say on it, but a lot of outside city residents have spent many a fall going to the exhibition grounds and either showcasing their the agriculture produce or their animals, or attending the exhibition, as we know that we've all done that as kids, guys. And it's devastating, really, that the city, I know we have to have progress, we have to have housing, but it's devastating to think that, a staple of the city that so many people poured their heart and soul into could be ripped out. And it brings the community together, it promotes agriculture, and it actually drives the local economy. So hopefully there could be a partnership or maybe even an agreement before this gets down the road much further.
Yeah.
I did read yesterday that there have been 4 objections to the expropriation. So that deadline was November the 16th.
Okay.
4 entities filed their objection. So basically the provincial government has appointed a lawyer to facilitate this process, I guess, to make it independent. And so the 4 entities were the exhibition itself, the owners of the Tim Hortons that's on site, the owners of Suregain, and the 4th one just isn't coming to me right now. And so then
probably the citizens group in the area. I'm thinking they're pretty loud on Facebook.
I wonder what
the lawyer.
Yes.
Mark Dacey's involved.
So the lawyer will review that, and then there'll be a hearing, and no dates have been set for the public hearing yet as well. So it's still in the stages, but we'll hear from Ray Tretiak anyway where that all stands.
Can't wait.
But
I wonder if the city MLAs have been brought in on this.
I have not seen
City
the
MLAs,
city
we would
MLAs
always-
engaged, unless like David Kuhn has been talking to them some, but I've not seen the other
Any of the
MLAs
government
that touch
MLAs,
into the city.
Because often, we'd
But it
always be
should
brought
take
in.
in, like, the outside MLAs of the city should be engaged as well, in my opinion. I mean, we would be right in there head first, trying to see what's going on and to help facilitate or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
But there's less city MLAs now because of the darn boundary changes. So there you go. So guys, we've come to the end of our episode here, episode 150. We've come to the end. So look forward to that show next week with Ray Tretiak. The week after that, we'll have Lori Clark from MB Power on.
Ooh, can't wait to talk about the power rates.
And she's very excited to
plants
come on and the power rates and keep the gas and the lights on. So with that being said, I guess it's time to say goodnight. Thank you all for tuning in. And we'll see you next week. On behalf of the Carr brothers, I'm Jeff.
I'm Jody.
Yeah, good night.